What's happening, everyone? It's your host, Zach Schumaker, and today I'm being joined by the first commit in Wake Forest 2022 recruiting class. He just came off of a summer where he saw himself rise from an unranked prospect to now a four-star and top 75 overall player. He now heads into his senior season at ThunderRidge High after just winning a state championship in his junior season. He also is now the 17th highest ranked commit in Wake Forest history, and that's Zach Keller. Take us this decision now. Obviously, you made it now. You're heading out to Wake Forest. Just what's going through your mind now? It's over.
Pretty relieved. It's a blessed process to go through. Really grateful I got to go through it, but as things go on, I get a little stressed out a little bit on like where to go. But I decided to go for Wake Forest. It was between them and Utah, and ultimately Wake Forest has felt better to me, and I decided to just go for it.
Now, this has been chaotic. I know some guys always say dragging a process on for a long time, guys that are recruited from freshman, sophomore year, that can be challenging just long term. But for you, like you kind of had a timer away. A lot of guys like to be committed before the senior year starts. And everything kind of started going on like starting in March, April, May. It's like AAU season. So you had all these schools from all over the country recruiting you. You came down your Final Four. Just take us through how you were able to come down to this decision, how you handled it, just going through it all so quickly.
So yeah, yeah, it's like beginning of the summer, I had like maybe three offers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had Utah with the old coaching staff, TCU, and shoot, one other one. That's probably bad to not remember that. But so we played a tournament with Utah prospects, went pretty well, and then so I got a couple more phone calls, and then went to second seven with my high school team, and I kind of blew me up a little bit because we got to play against some really good teams, and there's a lot of coaches there to watch me. And then just overall, as the summer goes on, more and more coaches got to see me. I think I ended up with around 17 to 20 more offers. So that was really exciting to go through. But overall, just to narrow down all those schools, I didn't want to go to like a super big school with like a lot of students, but I didn't want to go to like a super small school, so basically like in the middle. I know Wake Forest is a little like on the small side, but it's kind of how I like it. Um, Basically, I just went through my criteria of like what I went to school, education, players, coaching staff, campus, facilities, on just overall feel. And then if I got like one little hunch about a school, I just kind of knocked them out of the way. It's kind of how I knocked it down at first. And then when I released my top six and four, those were the ones where kind of got a little tough because they all fit it. So in the end, it was just gut feeling and where I felt the best with the coaching staff and players that I will play with. So that's kind of how I whittled it down a little bit, I should say.
I have to ask you, obviously, we know you today as a top 75 prospect, a four-star, all those offers, but we go back before all this came into play for you. Did you personally think this was going to happen in your future? Like, did you see yourself 6 months ago being a top 100 recruit, being a guy that has offers from 20 plus Division One schools? Like, do you think that was all going to happen the way it did?
To be honest, I wasn't really like thinking about it. My club coach, Lynn Lloyd, was like, "Hey, if you do pretty well, you might blow up. You might be a little surprised." I was like, "All right." But because the past summers I used to like shoot by my head, so my 3-point shooting wasn't really the best. Changed my whole shot, got to demonstrate this summer, and kind of blew up a little bit over that. And I was like, "Oh, all right." But no, I would say not really, but hard work, I guess, pays off, and it's been showing. I'm pretty happy about that.
Let's get into this Final Four. You had TCU, Utah, Texas Tech, obviously Wake Forest in there too. You went to visits on all four of those schools as well. So for starters, like going on these visits, we know your class didn't get going on any of that because of COVID up until the past few months. So just what was that like getting to go see these campuses, meet the coaches in person, talking to the players? Like, just what was the visit experience like for you?
It was really good. I visited TCU when it was like COVID-ish, so
Mhm.
I only got to see the players and the coaching staff, no students, nothing, just the campus. But overall, I still liked it. It's basically Wake Forest, just less trees, to be honest. But then for Utah, Wake Forest, and Texas Tech, they all their students in, so it got more of a campus feel. So that was really exciting to go through. My sisters, I got two of them that went through the same process, so it was really nice to experience what they always say when they go on these visits.
And we can kind of tell, like, obviously, I don't think staying close to home was too big a factor because you're obviously going out to the other side of the country. And obviously, Texas wasn't too close either. But obviously, with Utah, like, that one was a school that was not in Colorado, but still obviously pretty close family wise, at least compared to Wake Forest. So, did staying close to home, did that impact, was that appealing to you at all when it came to Utah? Or, like, was staying close to home not really a factor for you?
Wasn't really a factor. I
Mm,
got one sister that's out in Connecticut. The other one went to Arizona so for college. So kind of we're like all over the country as a family. But me
mhm.
personally, didn't matter because with my club, I was maybe home like 4 days out of a month. So kind of got used to it. And in the end, my parents can always fly down, or like I can fly back for like a weekend just to pop right back. So no, not really.
Sidetracking a little bit, like you said, you have a family that's been a part of athletes. They've all gone through this process too. So, what was it just like, first of all, growing up with a family of athletes? Obviously, you guys have the schedule down, having to go to see each other's games, work out, you know what it's like. So, what was that like, just like kind of growing up with all them?
It was really good. Very competitive. We all played the same sports: soccer, basketball. The middle one played volleyball, but soccer and basketball was definitely what we were into. I had to quit, obviously, got a little too tall. But it was pretty competitive. Most of our weeks and weekends were filled with going to practices, watching each other's games,
Mhm.
and we're like basically just being competitive over everything. But I think that helps a lot. That kind of helps me in games to be competitive and be aggressive all the time.
And the recruiting aspect, how'd that help out? Because they've kind of seen the way this works. They know what to look for in colleges. They've seen what does and doesn't work. So, how has that helped you in your process?
So obviously recruiting for girls is a little different than boys, but
Mm.
they always help me with the questions to ask, how to talk to coaches, um, how to basically questions to ask, how to treat, what you want to look for in
Mm.
a college, and like and like the teammates, kind of like what to like pinpoint, and basically that's it.
You also mentioned they did grow up playing soccer a little bit. So, when did that switch happen? Like, when did you go out to basketball full time?
Say 15 years old. I was around 6'1", and I remember vividly. I was playing a game, and a little like 5'5" kid drilled past. He was like, "Maybe I'm too tall for this sport." So kind of that's when I went for basketball full time.
So let's get into this Wake Forest commitment because you had your Final Four, as you mentioned, and then you obviously narrowed down. You just said to ultimately deciding between Utah and Wake Forest. So how did it kind of come down to those two? Like, what were you looking at those two schools, and how did Wake Forest ultimately edge out and become the school you're going to be heading to?
So both those schools obviously fit what I look for in a college. One has like 35,000. Other one's got 5,000 to 7,000. So
Mhm.
obviously big difference in the amount of people that go there. But um, kind of just came down to gut feeling and where I felt like I should go. My club coach was like, "Hey, you should go to Utah because I'd rather see you play 15 games rather than 4 a year." But ultimately, he's there to support me wherever I go. But kind of just came down to gut feeling because love both schools, and I basically lived in Utah for 3 summers in a row. So, but I guess want to try something new. Gut feeling.
So what is it about Coach Forbes? Because I'm super high on him. Obviously, they haven't made like the deep tournament runs yet. He's still just getting his very first year, and it was under COVID stuff. So a lot is kind of coming together for that. But he obviously has a bright future. I'm super high on him, and he has have a nice young core as a building out there too that's already established there. But for you, like, what is it about Wake Forest? What do you like about them? And just ultimately, what was the biggest, most appealing things about the school for you?
Mhm. Um, a really elite education. They're also in the ACC, so I wanted to take a leap. Well, not really elite, but I want to play against the top
Mhm.
competition in the country. Not saying uh, every conference has got good players, but just from the past, they produce like the best players.
Mhm.
So want to play against the best players. I actually have a lot of friends that moved from Colorado to North Carolina, so they say it's a great place to live. But Forbes, I he came from Eastern Tennessee State. The funny story is my math teacher is the one who got me in contact with Wake Forest. So that's pretty fun. So they're a really close knit type kind of family deal, which I really liked. Like so that's what kind of stuck out. They like the family thing. And now he's really good. He's had a winning record over the past 10 seasons. They sent me like a little graphic. I was like, oh, that stands out. But yeah.
Wait, so you said your math teacher got you in contact with Wake Forest. Take us through, like, what exactly happened then? How'd that all work out?
So believe mid like sophomore year during COVID, he emailed me because we weren't really like known at the time.
Mhm.
I'm actually in computer science class right now, but he's like, "Hey, I got a coach at Wake that's looking for a big. Would you be interested in like Wake Forest? It's in the ACC." And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." So we started talking a little bit. Then they came out to see some games, watch some film, and then uh, he's friends with it's Brooks Savage, one of the assistant coaches. That's who's recruiting me. Um, so I just kind of went from there, and then they offered me towards the end of the summer, and went from there.
Well, we look at this young core you guys have built up now. I'm really high on Carter Whit. I think eventually, when the time comes, he's going to be an all ACC type guard. You have him down there. You obviously bring in Jake Lavania. He's obviously got a bright future. Lucas Taylor, I'm high on. Robert McCray. Like, there's a lot of good pieces starting to come. You're the first guy that's going to run that power forward center spot. Can also ultimately run both those with your size. So take us to this young core. Like, how excited you to go out there and join Carter and those guys? And how much do you think you guys can ultimately become together?
Oh, really good. I'm really excited. They will have the experience at ACC that they can rely upon me to bring me back up or bring me up to speed on how the game's played. Because big difference between high school and college, obviously. So they're gonna have to bring me up a little speed with it, but I'll get there. But I'm really excited. Yeah.
And in terms of 2022 class, you're the very first commit there. They're in the running. I can imagine for some other guys could also use its portal eventually as well. But who are some of the targets you guys have, or is there anyone that you guys really want to try bringing in alongside you?
Um. Hold on. They sent. I was texting him earlier this week. Hold on. I'm probably gonna say this wrong. I think it's DeMarcus Lawrence is
Mhm.
between them and Nebraska. They want him for like the shooting guard or small forward position, I believe. Because he's an elite shooter. So they want to bring me and him, and then they might try and get like a center to go along with us. But that's kind of who they want to bring in. Obviously they didn't get like the high major players they wanted, but overall I'm pretty happy with who they wanted to bring in.
In terms of some younger guys, obviously you're in Colorado. There's not like a high abundance, tons of top level guys all the time. But are there any guys that you've got become friends with on the AU circuit, just in the basketball world, that you could also see yourself trying to recruit that's a little bit younger than you, and when it comes to 2023 class, maybe even 2024?
Um, I would say Collin Chandler because he's going to go on a mission.
Mhm.
But I think he's probably not going to go out east. I would say that. Ooh, I would say I didn't really get to like meet a whole lot of 2023, 2024 players, but I will definitely start looking into that for commitments.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about Coach Forbes a little bit more because he's going to be the guy that's coaching you for the next 1 to 4 years of your career and your life now. So, how close are you guys right now? Like, where's your guys' bond stand? Is how close are you with Coach Forbes at this point in time?
I'd say it's pretty close. He recommended the show, Ted Lasso.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my family kind of watch that a lot. And we also like it. And then he calls me, texts me at least like three, 4 times a week. So we're pretty close. He'll just send me like random pictures like his past like Halloween costumes or like I like my Hoko Spirit Week. So I sent him some of mine. So I say we're pretty close.
What's the favorite memory you've created so far with Coach Forbes?
Ooh. Um, there's a lot of them. Definitely the costumes would be one.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, I would go with the costumes or the recommend Ted Lasso because he'll put in like quotes when he texts me from Ted Lasso and they're pretty funny.
So, out of all of his costumes, which one would you say was your favorite one of those?
Ooh, hold on. I'm gonna look through these pictures real quick. There's quite a few. I would say, ooh, the Tooth Fairy. He looks the best in that one. Or there's like him as a Joker. Um, yeah, Tooth Fairy looks pretty funny in that one.
Absolutely. Well, you look at this overall moving out there in 1 year, you still have a lot of room to develop. You still have so much room as we've seen this year skyrocket over the past summer. So another year of added on skills and changing your body even. Like, what do you want to grow in the next year from? Like before you head on campus, what do you want to get better at as a person, as your body, as a player? Like, what do you want to improve on before you get out there?
Obviously get a little more muscle.
Mhm.
Little skinny, but probably just overall be a better basketball player. Shooting, ball handling, IQ, awareness, speed of play, efficiency. Basically, I guess all aspects of basketball. I'm trying to get good at or better at.
And when you do commit, obviously rankings will fluctuate over the next year as well. But right now, you are a top 75 player. That's going to put you right around number 17th highest player in Wake Forest history in terms of the highest ranked commit in program history. So, what does that mean to you? Like, you go in there knowing that you're one of the top ranked players to ever commit to this program. And that's saying something because there's Chris Paul, there's Tim Duncan, there's Alfred Gaminu, there's Jeff Teague. Like, the list goes on of NBA players, some NBA greats like Duncan and Chris Paul. So, what does that mean to you tonight? You're now amongst that list.
It's definitely an honor to be amongst that list because
Mhm.
as you know, they're great careers that
Mhm.
they're having right now or have had. Actually did not know that until you said that. So I said it's a pretty big honor to go in there like that.
That is kind of the crazy thing about Wake Forest because I'm not sure there's another program out there that has the names of a Chris Paul, a Tim Duncan, a Jeff Teague. Even. Like there's a long list of NBA players that ultimately isn't as high. Like, we see the Kentuckies, the Dukes, the KUs, they're regarded with the type of players. So how do you bring Wake Forest back? Like how do you guys, you and Carter and the whole young core, eventually get this program back to being a program that has a spotlight because of guys like Chris Paul and Tim Duncan's?
Just we gotta go out, work hard, and win. That's how you are seen. No one looks at a losing team.
Mm-hmm.
I love to win. I despise losing. You know it happens, but you gotta win. You gotta work together as a team. Gotta have good team chemistry. But overall, you gotta beat the teams that are way already like high ranked up there.
And you're going to be the guy that holds it down at the 4 or 5 for the next 1 to 4 years. And I'm sure fans will be excited for that because to compete in that conference, you need someone down there that can do what you can do. So, but what all in total can you bring to this program? Like, what can fans expect you to bring to Wake Forest when you get out there?
I can bring really good versatility. I can shoot. I can drive. I can expose mismatches. I give it all every single play. I'm aggressive rebounder, just aggressive player in general. I never like to give up at all. I can defend. I like to say 1 through 5. But being realistic, maybe 2 for 5. Point guards might cross me up a little bit, but uh, just and then I'm more of a silent leader, but I will definitely bring leadership to the team. I'll definitely be a great teammate, and I'll definitely help out around the community.
Is there a comparison you have for yourself, or maybe even a mixture of different guys? Like, is there some different players that you like watching that you'd say, I take this from this guy's game, I take this part from this guy's game? Like, or is it even just maybe one player specifically that you compare yourself to?
So I watched a couple. Jokic obviously is one. He plays
Mhm.
in Denver. His passing and awareness.
Mhm.
And then I use Giannis for his like bulldog or like crossover movie that he uses a lot to get to the basket, and then Jimmy Butler for his defense and just overall aggressive mindset. That's the kind of 3 players I look at.
Absolutely. We're going to ask you a couple more Wake Forest questions to wrap this up in a second, but just so people can get to know you a little bit better and just you off the court and on it a little bit more. One of which is, as we talked about a few times, this past AU season, you blew up, went from unranked to now a top 75 player. And ultimately, you guys were very successful as a team. Not that many people look at Utah prospects as a team that is always one of the top 10 in 3SSB, but you guys proved that this year. You, Collin Chandler, Langston, the group list goes on. Take us to the summer, like just growing with you guys, building this bond up, and just becoming a team that went to the Final Four, 3SSB. Just what was this past summer like playing with those guys?
It was amazing. I loved it. Wouldn't trade it in the world for anything. We were very close. Obviously, the one of our coaches said that this is probably the closest team he's ever been with. off the court, we would mess with each other, do jokes, but once we got on the court, it was business. No one made any jokes. I think it was go time. It was a blast, honestly. It was really fun. Kind of bummed we lost the semis, but we got pretty far. Really wish we could have tried to go to the championship, but I'm definitely proud of where we went, and I loved playing with them the whole summer.
That was the first time I got to watch you specifically for a long portion out there in the championship games. And the first one that obviously was a statement is you guys go up against a guy, Chris Livingston, who I regard as one of the top players in the country. I think he could be debatably the number one player in the country. And you guys obviously don't have necessarily quote unquote number one player on ranking wise, but you and Collin and the group comes out and outplays the entire team of them and Devin Ree and a lot of different top ranked guys. Take us to that mentality that when you guys went in there kind of as a quote unquote underdog, not ranked, not talked about as much as those guys were. What was your mentality each time you guys stepped out there?
We always laughed before the games, because we're a bunch of white guys, for the most part, but everyone always looks past us.
Mm-hmm.
But just go out there and win. We got good team chemistry. That's going to beat the 1-2 ISO players that have going on the other team. That wasn't really my best game going against them, but I always find a way to make sure everyone else does what they can. But most of our mindset is basically let's prove people wrong.
In terms of Collin, like you said, he obviously might not go out to Wake Forest, but you guys formed a dynamic duo that was really lethal. You guys obviously got yourself to the Final Four out there. So just talk about your guys' bond. What was it like just growing a bond with him over these past couple of years and really creating that dynamic duo on the circuit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so every time I fly out to Utah, I either stay at his house or Rex Sutherland's house, so that was pretty close. Um, we didn't really like be in the hotel room with each other a lot. I think we just got along really well.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of matched each other. But once we got on the court, we always kind of knew what each other was going to do. Because I usually set him lock screens. That's how it goes in the game. So I can see him making one move, so I have to go this other way, or he shoots a three. Austin would go try and get a rebound. He'll make it usually, but I don't know. Just kind of it's like those friends or like the teammates that just clicks as soon as you see them and start playing with them.
And he ultimately is going to come down to a decision sometime in the next year, at least, sometime before the season part gets going. So, who is he going to be? Like, what is the program getting him? Like, how special is Collin Chandler, and what will he be bringing to a program?
He's a very versatile point guard, shooting guard. He can shoot from deep, as you can see from all his highlights. He's a good playmaker. He can get to the rim. He can find open teammates. He's just overall a great teammate. Outside of all the scoring and that, he knows how to run lanes. I get a rebound, I can just check it down the court right for an easy dunk. He's aggressive. He's competitive, and overall great player.
What would you say is the funniest memory you two had together throughout your time playing with each other, just being around each other?
Ooh, there's a lot of them.
Mm.
Hmm. Me and him would always fight if we went to Torchy's Tacos or Raising Cane's for every where we go to first. We ended up going to both, but always fought a little bit of who would go where first. I love Torchy's, he loves Cane's. Um, there's just a bunch of like little ones that I can always remember of, but those are the funny ones that always stand out.
I mentioned before too, as we know, you're from Colorado, and they're not necessarily a state that's going to have top ranked players coming in at a high abundance each in every single year, but you've managed to come out now. You've made yourself a top ranked player in the country. So what was it like just growing up out there in Colorado, and ultimately the basketball side of that too? How did you become this top ranked, high regarded player while not being a state that has as much media attention as some other states might have?
Yeah. So we've had a couple high ranked players come out in the past couple years, but I was obviously a late bloomer.
Mm-hmm.
Not I was still high ranked in Colorado, but not nationally. So being from Colorado and being able to demonstrate my hard work and be able to play against the top guys in the country was definitely confidence boosting when I did pretty good against them. So that just helped me blow up even more. It is really cool though being from Colorado because Wake Forest told me this. There's only been 4 other people from Colorado to ever play in the ACC, so that's pretty good accomplishment. I like to be proud of.
Mm-hmm. In terms of high school, you choose to go to Thunder Ridge, and you've created a pretty great legacy in terms of winning a state championship last year and we'll get into each year individually. You've had a lot of injuries before this past season now, but in terms of just choosing ThunderRidge, like why was it the school you chose and why did you ultimately want to go play there?
They just have a really broad history of being good in basketball. They've been to the Elite Eight. What was it? 15 times. The Final Four, like seven, and then they've had the championship maybe 4 or 5 times. They've only won 3 or 2 times, I believe.
Mhm.
But overall, just a good history of being good at basketball. They were actually my third school to go to. So I got one that's maybe 2 minutes away from my house, Mount Vista. Kind of didn't like the people. They weren't greatly known for basketball, so I tried to go to the rivalry to them. I didn't get into that school, so I just popped over to ThunderRidge, and probably the best decision I made. So yeah.
We go through that season. Your freshman year obviously was like your development year. You started getting this acclimated to basketball out there. Take us to that freshman year though. Like, what was that year like for you, and how did that ultimately help you prepare you then for your next few years of high school?
Mhm. So I was on JV swing varsity.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was two bigs ahead of me. One was 6'7", the other one was like 6'6", maybe like 250.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd bully me around a little bit. I was really scrawny, so maybe it wasn't the best for like varsity, but definitely was a good development year. I got to toy with some kids on JV. It was pretty fun. But the bigs that run varsity before me definitely helped a lot to bring myself up to the physicality I needed to be at.
So if we now look at that point in time, like before you really even started your high school career, at that point, someone came out and told you, you're going to become a top 75 player in a couple of years and become highly regarded, highly recruited. Could you have even imagined that going back 3 years ago?
Um, where I was, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
I would have said thank you, appreciate that. But because at the time I was just the slow, uncoordinated big that only played big, so probably wouldn't have noticed me becoming a small forward, power forward who can actually shoot and move pretty well. But yeah,
Your sophomore year then doesn't go exactly the way I can imagine you wanted either. You have hip surgery that also knocks you out for the majority of the season as well. So take us to that. What was that rehab process like, and just what was that sophomore year like for you?
yeah. So I genetically tore my labrum. So I grew too tall pretty fast, so I had no muscle around my hips. So my body put too much calcium in the socket, so it's supposed to be like a groove. Mine turned into a ball, so every time I'd run, it'd tear into my labrum.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, my first year at prospects, I was playing on a torn labrum the whole time. What we came to find out. But so I had surgery October 26th in before my sophomore year of high school, and I missed all of this games except for the last three, our last two regular season, and then our first playoff game. We unfortunately lost, but it was definitely sucked a lot. That definitely made me realize my passion and love for basketball. And once I got back, I actually came back 4.5 months early. No, I came back in 4.5 months, a month and a half early. So that just helped me find my drive, passion, and love for basketball.
You then come to that junior season, and obviously I can imagine at that point you're like, it's the upperclassman years now. I can go to prove myself. You guys end up winning state championships. So at the end of the day, it still worked out for you, but you still missed a lot of the season with ankle sprain this time now. So walk us through this year. Like, how did you go through that, and how did you ultimately come back and just what was it like winning a state championship then to cap it all off?
Yeah. So it was we only had one game the whole season with our whole entire team healthy. Because yeah, and then so it was our fourth game. I went for a chase down block. I got the block, but I had unfortunately crushed my ankle into basically a taco. I tore every single ligament down there. So that sucked a lot. Um, the funny story is we were ahead by 15-20 at the time, which I should have done that, but definitely sucked. I couldn't walk for maybe a week or two. So when I started to come back towards the end of the season, I had my ankle double taped and in a brace with like just extra tight. So basically that thing was not going to move. Um, and maybe like 4 or 5 Advil. But overall, we were injured as a team. We had one player with a broken hand and a broken foot, terrible knees. That's what another player had, and then I think another player had a sprained wrist. So was either that or another ankle, forgot. But we managed to pull through it. And it felt amazing to win state championship. It's been 18 years since ThunderRidge has won one. So definitely felt great. Our coach was definitely very happy. Um, just for the thing, we got our rings for it, but it was pretty good. Not many people can say they are state champions of their state for sports.
And you come after all this injuries and you come into your junior, or kind of going into senior season AAU time, and now your senior season, you are a state champion. You're committed now. You're a top ranked player. Like, what else is there for you to accomplish, and what do you really need to get done for this to be called a successful senior year for you?
Definitely win a back-to-back state championship. That is the ultimate goal. Actually, the ultimate goal is to be Gatorade Player of the Year for Colorado. That is what I want to accomplish. That's what I want to do. And I can reach that. I know I can. And then win state championship for back-to-back, and then probably just have fun. It's my last year of high school before basketball becomes a job for the next 1 to 4 years. So kind of it.
Absolutely. Well, something about I have to ask you, right? You have a Hakuna Matata in there, and obviously I know a lot of people probably know that could be from, but explain a little bit to us. Like, why do you have that there? What's the meaning behind that? Just walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So the people that know it's from The Lion King. It means no worries, be happy. Kind of my little thing I go for. You're not everything's gonna work out right. Gonna make mistakes. There's gonna be days or games where nothing goes your way. I've had those. Those suck. So that kind of just means no worries, be happy, keep moving on, keep moving forward, and just put it behind you, because it's better to look onto the future than to dwell on a couple minutes in your past that no one's probably gonna remember for maybe like 10 years from now. So just no worries, be happy.
Absolutely, man. Well, a couple more things before I let you go. One of which is something I was like wrapping up, and that's discussing your legacy. So we know we're going to be spending possibly the next 4 years, 1 to 4 years in total there. But take us through when you do leave Wake Forest, when that day does come down the road. What do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court out there?
For like off the court, just being helping the community, being that leader that everyone looks up to, that helps out around the community. Definitely looks out for the little guy. For on the court, obviously, I would love to be one of the people that recognizes one of the greatest to go there, or just one of the highly valued to go there. Definitely get like just like freshman awards, like first team ACC or stuff like that. Overall, just would be cool to bring it back, bring Wake Forest back into the spotlight and back in the mix of talks, because right now they're not really into talks, but that would be a great deal to be putting back in there.
In terms of jersey number, we know that's something that's more and more valuable, especially now. It's always mattered to guys, but now you guys can ultimately sell them as well for jerseys. But is there a jersey number that you would prefer to have out there? Like, what number do you want to rock out with, or have you not really decided about that yet?
I would say 32, but theirs is retired there. So I would either say 2. They have like a little like wall of all those things you can choose from. So I'd say number 2, or I guess any number with a 2. I don't know why, but yeah, maybe 2.
In terms of NIL stuff, did that impact you at all in this decision? I know some guys matter to them a lot. Some guys are just like, it's going to happen no matter where I go. Like, did that impact you at all in this recruiting process?
Not really. Being my education paid for free and be able to play the game I love is enough for me. And be able to travel around the world playing against top teams is really a benefit. I think the NIL is like an added bonus to get your name out there. It's definitely a benefit to make money off your own name, but it wasn't really a factor because you can make money wherever you go.
Absolutely. Well, my final thing for you, man, give Wake Forest fans your 3 biggest goals you have set for your Wake Forest career.
Ooh, well, obviously a big giant goal, national championship. That would be amazing. Make it to March Madness. They haven't been there in a while. Then personally, me, just get like first or second team ACC, athletically or academically.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, congratulations on the big commitment again. I'm excited to see what God got next for you and appreciate taking time to come on today, man.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me on this interview. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. You're always welcome on, man. God bless.
Thank you.